Hi everyone, thank you for coming out today. I know it's early, but we're all going to get through this, and I'll start us off. So today I want to talk to you guys about a topic that has been very deep with my whole well-being here at Biola, and I titled it Finding Your Identity When You Thought You Lost It. So I know what some of you guys are thinking. You might think, okay, is this identity theft? Is this identity crisis? If you had those two guesses, one of them is correct. I did not lose my identity. I just misplaced it while I was here at Biola. And it all came around when I entered Biola, fall of 2012, and I was declared as a nursing major. And now here I am doing this presentation as a senior, one semester left, public relations major. That seems like a big jump, and I will get into that. So I want to talk more about two other subtopics, because when I started to think about identity, two other subtopics really were like stewing in me, and those are change and failure. So when I think about change, I want to unpack these topics for you guys. When I think about change, it is making yourself or becoming different, and failure is a lack of success. So really for me, it's an ongoing cycle. You feel like you have something that identifies you, and that's where you find your identity. And then you change and you become different, and then you have fear of failure. So that might sound pessimistic, but I always thought identity, then you kind of change, and then you're like, where am I? What am I doing with my life? And you kind of get scared. So when I came in as a nursing major, decided to do public relations, it was a long journey in between that, and I'll get into it, but I had no idea what was my identifier anymore. So some things you should know about me before I get into this any further is that I'm one of 4 girls, and I'm in this bottom left corner. I am the second in my family to go to college, and that just fact right there put a lot of pressure on me coming to Biola, because I really wanted to make the most of my time here and make my parents proud. My lovely parents got married at 19 years old. They're still married, and they did not go to college because my mom started having kids really young at 20, and my dad started having to work for the family and make a lot of money as quick as he could, and so he was going to be a police officer. Didn't work out, so he didn't go to college. I think he went to one semester community college. So when we had the opportunity to go to college, my sister on the right hand side, we both go to Biola, there was this overwhelming factor of make the most of our time. This is not a cheap experience here. And so I chose nursing because my grandma was a nurse, my best friend was also going to school for a nurse, my aunt's a nurse, everyone around me was nursing. And I thought, if I could be a nurse, I could have a job that is stable and everything that my dad always wanted me to have, because he couldn't have that when he started out his life with us. And he never made us feel guilty for that, but he really just wants the best, like any parent wants for their children. I'm also a perfectionist, so that's something that has not changed while I'm here at Biola. However, that's something that was always my identifier, is perfectionist. I have OCD, and I'm also an ambivert. So an ambivert is a mix of introversion and extroversion. And when you have both parts of that, you are labeled ambivert. And so I have ambiversion, and that is that I find comfort in both worlds of introversion and extroversion. And so when I dropped nursing and I was trying to find another major, I was like, okay, I'm okay with doing the sciences, but I'm also okay with doing public speaking. Even if it makes me nervous, I want to be able to talk with people. I don't want to miss that, because what I loved about nursing was caring for others. So I'm like, where else can I see that in a major? So I had my 5-year plan. I'm a planner. My quote that I lived by, and it still haunts me, is failing to plan is planning to fail. So when I dropped that, my 5-year plan was out the window. My parents were like, okay, we were planning on having you for 5 years. That was going to be really financially hard on us, but we were prepared for that. So just know that that's a little less pressure. Whatever you're going to do, you have 4 years to do that. You can do 4.5 if you want, which is what I'm doing. So after the peer pressure of picking a new major, after accepting that I may have failed in a way, I became undeclared, and I decided to just take as many gen eds as I could, get that out of the way. And because I had more time in my schedule, I started to really reflect on what I could see myself doing. And a quote by a self-help author, Stephen Covey, once said, you have to decide what your highest priorities are and have the courage, pleasantly, smilingly, non-apologetically, to say no to other things. And the way you do that is by having a bigger yes burning inside. The enemy of the best is often the good. So to really illustrate this, I want to show you guys a clip from Monty Python. I don't know if any of you guys are aware of this clip. Hopefully it'll play for you guys. But this is just going to show how this man on the left has a burning passion for what he wants to do. He used to be an accountant, and now he wants to do a different profession. So just watch this little clip.
Well, do you have any idea of what you want to do? Yes, I have. What? Lion taming! Of course, it's a bit of a jump, isn't it? I mean, a child that can't see the lion taming in one go. You don't think it might be better if you worked your way towards lion taming, say via banking? No, I don't want to wait. At 9 o'clock tomorrow, I want to be in there taming. Right. Do you have any qualifications? Yes, I've got a hat. Yes, a hat, a lion taming hat, a hat with lion tame on it. I got it at Harrods, and it lied.
Okay, so maybe I wasn't that passionate about nursing to public relations. It wasn't that easy for me. I didn't just 1 second realize when I walked into my guidance counselor, I'm not a nursing major anymore. What am I going to do? And I just realized that this is how drastic it was when I decided to go from nursing to public relations. Everyone thought I was crazy when I was leaving nursing. My family members, my grandparents, they were just like, so what is public relations, sweetie? They didn't understand it at all. And so what I started to realize when I was deciding, do I want to do journalism? Do I want to do PR? Is that at the end of the day, identity is not my major. Identity is not our career, and it is not our salary. Because I so often was thinking, I chose nursing, I knew it was going to be stable, I knew I could do it once I'm married and have kids, I can do like night shifts, so how does that apply when I do a different major? Journalism, would I just be working with a newspaper? Where am I going to be able to work? Is that going to be stable for me? What about public relations? My aunt does that for a living, she works at home. I just try to think of everything. I'm a thinker, I'm a planner. Kind of makes it hard when I make decisions. So I had more time, I started to travel. So I started traveling, visiting my friend in Seattle. She was studying nursing up there. Still kind of hard to visit her, knowing that our plans were totally different at this point. And I also would travel up north, do some road trips with my parents, because they really just knew that I was in a time where I had no idea what I was going to do. So through these trips, I met some really interesting people. I met 3 CEOs in a span of a couple months. So Marguerite is a CEO of her own insurance company, Fox Benefits. Marilyn is a CEO of Dr. Phil's Foundation, When Georgia Smiled. And this is a YouTube star and CEO of Blend Tech. His name is Tom. He is very vibrant, as you can see in this photo. So I sat next to these people on planes, trains, and I immediately just had relationships being built with them on my span of either 2-hour flights or 1-hour train rides. And I didn't understand that I was finding what I was going to pursue after this. I didn't realize that I was building relationships like you do in PR. And I would be talking to these people, and at the end of it, they're like, what are you studying at school? Because that's always the question that everyone loves to ask you. And I was like, I'm undeclared right now. I think I'm going to do journalism. I kind of am interested in communications, but I don't know where I'm going to really pursue that. And they're like, have you ever heard of PR? And I was like, that's so interesting that you're talking about that, because I have been thinking about it, but it's not necessarily a major yet at my school. So I started praying about it, and I decided, what do I like about PR? And I took my first intro to PR class, and I took my writing for PR class, and I realized what I love so much about it is it's relational. I get to have that face-to-face. I get to build relationships every day. It's exciting for me because I love to talk. I love to just bring people together and see value in each other, and you can do that a lot within public relations. And it had a lot of my core values with being transparent, being honest, and being truthful on anything I can do. And so I just wanted to also show some statistics that I'm not alone in this at all, and that 80% of students in the US end up changing their major at least once, and on average college students change their major at least 3 times over the course of their college career. And so some more inspirational quotes I got was from John Stuart Mill, and he said, whatever helps to shape the human being, to make the individual what he is or hinder him from what being he is not, is part of his education. So I was learning that even though I failed nursing and even though I changed my major, it was all education for my life, and I can bring that all into whatever major I pursue. And a verse that has really shaped me through all of my time here, I actually have it tattooed on my arm, is 1 John 4:4. But you belong to God, my dear children. You have already won a victory over those people, because the Spirit who lives in you is greater than the spirit who lives in the world. And that really became a testament for me, because I was trying to find my identity in what I was studying. And when I lost that, when I had nursing just ripped out from under me and decided that's not what God had for me, I was trying so hard to establish who I am in the world versus who I am and who God sees me as. And so I got this tattooed on my arm, just greater is he, my sophomore year when I decided to do journalism with PR. And those weren't necessarily together, but it just kind of started to take an overwhelming overlap on my whole life. So what I want to talk about is the 3 terms I talked about in the beginning, but if you can notice, the last term is different. So I said this is an ongoing cycle, and it is. Sometimes you're going to find things and you're going to say that's what identifies you, and sometimes you're going to lose those things and it's going to be a change. But you also, when you're really lucky or blessed, you'll find success in those new changes. And I really have identified with that throughout my time here at Biola, because I just gave it up and I gave it to God because I had no idea where I was going to see myself. And I found my identity in him, and that helped me find the success that I was looking for while I was here at Biola. So why I love Biola so much and PR and studying it here, because I don't think I would have learned about PR if I just went to a community college in town, is that PR means telling the truth and working ethically. Even all the media want is headlines, and all the public wants is scapegoats. Public relations fails when there is no integrity. See, there's failure again. I was so terrified of failure, and so I thought I was going to do a major that was non-existent. I couldn't fail. I was like, nursing, you can't really fail. You do the school, you become a nurse, it's stable. And then I jumped into PR, and I was like, there's going to be times where I'm not going to be doing my best, and there's going to be better people out there. It's going to be competitive. But again, the underlying thing is that there's always integrity in that. My mission statement that I made for myself while I'm here at Biola and before I leave here and graduate is that public relations is all about relationships, and that's what I love the most about it. And I yearn to cultivate healthy and mutually beneficial relationships with organizations and their publics. I want to impact the world for Christ through my experience in the industry and show his love through my actions boldly, emphatically, and passionately. So what I really just want you guys to take away from this whole experience is that when you're here individually and you guys are studying your majors, I don't know all of your guys' stories. I would love to get to know all of your guys' stories, but I know that we're not alone in this. And even if you didn't change your major or whatever your story is, it's easier to grasp that our identity is not in that. And sometimes I think we get so warped to think that if we're not making this much money by the time we're 25 and our student loans aren't paid off, then who are we and did we fail? It's not about the failure. It's not about the change. It's knowing who you are and who God made you to be. Thank you for listening to me, you guys, and I am now open.